way I'm going. There ain't got no way, I'm gonna make it without my Lord. No, ain't got no way I'm gonna make it without my Lord. No, ain't got no way I'm gonna make it without my Lord. No. There ain't got no way, I'm gonna make.
Yes. No problem. All right. So this afternoon we have a very special guest with us. His name is Philip Blackett. He turned 40 on Thanksgiving Day 2024, a milestone that feels less like a celebration and more like a wake-up call. While others enjoyed turkey and pie, he found himself reflecting on life's deeper questions. The ambition that once drove him, money, status, recognition, no longer satisfied. What now mattered most was legacy, longevity, family, purpose, wellness. That day marked the start of a new journey, not just for him, but for anyone who's ready to take control of their health, energy, and mindset. From that moment, Life After 40 was born, a platform built to help others thrive in the second half of life by mastering four essential pillars: nutrition that fuels, not frustrates; exercise that builds strength, not burnout; mindset that endures when motivation fails; recovery that restores body, mind, and soul. At the core of Philip's life is his relationship with Jesus Christ. His identity is rooted in faith, and his mission is clear: to grow people, grow business, and grow God's kingdom as a faithful steward and kingdom man. Through his work in sales, marketing, and business development, Philip equips entrepreneurs and small business owners to build the dream businesses they created to lead, all while living with purpose, impact, and integrity. So, without further ado, let us just welcome our special guest this evening, Philip Blackett.
Hey, here's the man. I think I got that right.
How's
How
it
you doing?
going? Good. How are you?
We are
I'm doing all
fine.
right. And we have a new co-host with us, Philip. She wasn't here the last time. Gabriella Woods. Nice
Hi,
to meet you.
hi. Nice to meet you as well.
Absolutely. Glad to be here.
Yes,
Wonderful.
glad to have you.
Gabriella, he's all yours.
Woo, I'm starting no problem. All right. So, Philip, tell us. We want to find out what was that turning point for you when you turned 40 for Thanksgiving. Could you enlighten us? What was going through your mind at that particular time?
Well, I think the big thing that was going on was one, it's Thanksgiving, right? It's my
Yeah.
favorite holiday of the year. And this year, my birthday was on Thanksgiving.
Mm,
So obviously, that doesn't happen every year. So it's definitely something of significance to me.
yes.
But at the same time, it was significant for a different reason. Because at that time, I basically relocated. I was up north for like over 10 years. I moved back down south, um, changed like settings with my wife and my kids. You basically started a new chapter. And I think at this point, I was coming from a really tough time professionally for me. And so you're starting a new chapter and to some degree, maybe even starting over. And so while everyone's like festive and happy and enjoying like the food, the fellowship, and that sort of thing, for me, I think it just got a lot of reflectiveness from me.
Yeah.
while I was digesting the dinner, of course. Um, and basically asked myself the question of, what's next? Is this it for me? Is
Mm,
this how life is going to be for me to carry on over the next 10 to 20 years as my kids grow up? And then we figure out what to do there. So I think what was missing, Gabriella, was something that really sparked me, something
yeah.
that really got me going to say, hey, you know what? We may have been through some tough times recently, but God got us through it.
Amen.
Mm,
And obviously, there should be a reason behind it as far as why we survived it.
yeah.
So, how do we turn that mess into a message?
Ah,
Mm,
And so that took in a good amount of time. That wasn't a quick, you know,
yeah.
10-minute reflection. I knew exactly what it was. It wasn't like a angel tapped me on the shoulder and I knew exactly 100% clarity where to go from there. There
Yes.
were plenty of days for me that I was very much in reflection. I was praying. I was thinking. I was doubting. Sometimes I was frustrated. I was unsure. I was confused. I was trying to put pieces together and figure out some things were working, some things weren't. But I think
Mm,
the big idea here is what I realized in my own situation of trying to figure things out. God shared with me there's a reason behind this, and more
mm,
so in the case that there are other people that face what you're facing on an everyday basis. Every day someone turns 40,
yeah,
right? Every day
yeah.
someone gets closer to 40.
right.
Every day someone is now living out what midlife is post 40. And so I think that what really got me in the sense of, in my own sense of trying to heal myself and give myself direction and clarity, that also gave way to me understanding a purpose behind helping others do the same as well.
Mm.
Wow.
Wow, that's
Yeah,
so amazing.
yeah, yeah.
And during those times, we usually have expectations as to what should be happening at that particular junction in our life. And what expectations were you carrying around 40 that make you feel like, what, I'm feeling empty. This is feeling too unrealistic. This is not where I should be. What were some of the expectations you were carrying over or carrying into 40 as you turned 40?
Well, I think as I think about that, Gabriella, I do think about the Ten Commandments actually here.
Mm,
As thou shalt not covet,
yes.
right? A lot of people aren't quick to think of that one when they think about Ten Commandments, but as you get older, that one comes up where you're
Mm,
in comparison mode. Comparison is often the thief of joy.
Yeah.
yes.
And so what often happens is you quickly look over to the left, you look over to the right, and say, hey, so and so has this type of job. So and so is driving this type of car. So and so is having this type of family. So and so is living in this type of neighborhood. And they're about the same age as I am. What's the difference? Why
Mm,
did they get what they got and I didn't?
yeah.
Right. And so I think that one of the things that came off to my mind was just the thought of, in and of itself, we are blessed with life first and foremost. One thing that helped me kind of get myself in the right frame of mind was realize there is something about counting your blessings in the morning, because
Hmm.
there's some people that didn't make it to today.
Yeah.
Mm.
True.
Yeah, yeah,
There's some people that may not live the type of way you live today.
yeah,
There's some
Mm,
people may not be able to have the capabilities of doing their own podcast that really want to.
yeah.
yeah. Mm.
So it was one thing that my role model told me. What he often did was, hey, if I wake up in the morning, I can get out of bed, which means my feet work. I can see the light, so my eyes are working.
Mm-hmm.
I can eat breakfast, which means I have taste. I have like function as far as my face is concerned.
Yeah.
And I have something to do to keep me busy, keep me active and productive, and people that love me. You're already counting 5 or 6 blessings that not everyone has.
Yeah, yeah, yeah,
So if you can get yourself in that right frame of mind to start the day, you're off to a better place, a better way to grow from here than
Mm,
people that don't think about those things. So I think, to your point, Gabrielle, I basically was doing all the comparisons as far as that's
yes.
concerned. And I think I had to get to a point where I said, hey, let's just take a moment to think about all the things we have now that other people may do anything to get.
Yeah.
Mm.
Yeah.
Like you get to a point at 40, you start recognizing, you start experiencing friends, people you grew up with, colleagues that didn't make it to 40.
Mm.
Like to this day, like right below my computer right here, I have the obituary of a classmate I went to high school with, played on the basketball team with
Wow.
over 20 years ago. He didn't
Mm.
make it past 40. He had a wife and kids as well. They're living their lives without him.
Yeah.
So I do that as an instance, as an example, that every time I might get into a funk myself, I just look down and I say, you know what? We're not. I can't complain. I won't complain because there's a lot to be thankful for, and because of that, I want to make the most of what God has given me in another day.
Yeah.
Mm.
It didn't get to that point so quickly, but I've gotten to the
Yeah.
point where that's been really helpful for me to give myself better meaning, give myself a greater purpose, and align myself in identity with my Heavenly Father and going about my Father's business now.
Awesome.
Right.
Thank
Yeah.
you so much for
Yeah.
sharing that.
Yeah.
And I have one question that kind of following up with that. Besides the fact that that God was in the center of it all there, I wanted to kind of tell us as a man, going through this turning point in your life, a lot of men may struggle during these moments to even admit, yes, they may have the comparison syndrome at this stage, but they wouldn't come out and say, what, I'm struggling and I really want to turn things around. What will be your encouragement to the men who may want to turn things around and actually are struggling? What would you tell them now as they would be listening in the audience?
So I think one thing I think about, and I just think about it from my own personal experience. Um, Oftentimes, you're looking for the right people to confide in because you often have, as a man, as a grown man, this stature, this expectation,
Yeah.
this stereotype, if I even border on that one as well, of how we're supposed to be strong at all times, not fearful, not emotional, not crying, any of these sort of things, right? Um, it doesn't mean that that's not valid as far as you don't have those feelings and emotions,
Yeah.
but there's a part of it where your thought is, do I like confide in myself? Do I try to figure it out myself?
Mm-hmm.
Do I involve God in this? Do I involve other brothers? Who do you go to?
Yeah.
Are you married? So a number of different things. I think that one part is really understanding, if you live life long enough, you're going to have your fair share of good times and bad times.
Yeah.
In times that are so bad, you just don't understand why it is, and
Mm.
it's a struggle to keep going. So if we understand that everyone goes through those, the question then becomes, why as men we feel we have to take it on our own.
Mm.
If you think about it, even with regard to Christian men, there was a church before there was a building,
Yeah.
Mm.
and that was each other,
Yeah.
brothers and sisters in Christ,
Yeah.
right? Part of that is being able to confide and basically rejoice when others rejoice and mourn when others mourn.
Yeah.
But you didn't do that by yourself. You had a sense of community. So what I would advise or advocate for other men is, it may be hard to find someone you trust, but at least stay open to finding the right men to talk to. At the very least, be able to share, because some things you may not be able to share at home. Some things you may not feel as comfortable sharing out in public like that,
Yeah.
as in not on social media, right? But it is key because I think the enemy, it's part of his plan to keep you isolated. If
Wow.
anything, it keeps you in a way thinking you could figure it out on your own. You don't need anybody else. You can keep that mask on externally for as long as possible until you crack.
Hmm.
And when you crack, that's where you can get yourself in a vicious cycle that may self sabotage and may get you in an even worse situation than before. And that's not what God will want to have for you. He wants you to be closer to Him, and He wants you to be closer to your brethren that are also going through those times that you can be supportive of one another. But we have to be able to be open to that, though.
Yeah.
And we also, for the other men, have to be the type of men that are approachable, that people can feel comfortable being approached or approaching to be able to share this with
Yeah.
and to be able to have those tough conversations that may be more sensitive, more vulnerable, more open and honest. But if you don't provide a setting where someone can do that, you might be playing a role in them staying closed off as well.
Mm. Wow.
Wow.
Thank
Yeah.
you, thank you, thank you. Yes, you're getting deep. He is getting deep. It sounds
Very,
basic and it sounds like it's just simple information, guys, but it is really at the heart and core of it all.
yeah.
Really having that support system and really knowing who to talk to during those moments is also critical at those junctions. And Philip, when you describe yourself as a kingdom man, I saw it in a hashtag. How did your relationship with Christ help you to handle and shape this life reset that you had at the age of 40?
I think it helped me get back to the foundation. When you talk about Jesus being your firm foundation, what that means is you have to build off of something. And if
Yes.
things come down, it has to come down to something.
Yeah.
Mm.
So there has to be something that's constant, whether things are on the up and up or things taking a turn for the worse. But I fear for those who don't have that foundation because everyone's looking for a crutch to hold on, but it might not be God,
Wow. Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
So we can fill in the blank of who those positions can be filled as, that only we should have God as, those idols, right?
Yeah.
Those addictions, right? Um, but I think for me, it was helpful that if I didn't have the background growing up being in the church, with my grandparents serving as a good example, even though they're no longer living with me, it helped me understand, hey, this is a part of life.
Yeah.
Your family relatives that you grew up with, they're not going to be with you forever. And soon you're going to have family of your own to tend to. And we're just going to repeat this cycle. That's just how it is, the circle of life, right?
Yeah.
And so the key is that what are the lessons we need to learn to be able to keep moving forward? Because eventually we're going to have people that are dependent on us the way we used to depend on the people ahead of us when we were growing up. So it's time for us to step up and take on that role, but you feel much more confident doing that when you have someone that is living eternal, that is nearby, closer than a brother, that we can depend on, that's going to be here as we get older.
Mm. Right. Very good. Woo. So if you were to just kind of piggyback on that relationship with God and having that foundation, something to fall back on, is something that you would have to adjust yourself to, getting back to your roots and getting back to that place where you understand that the situation is beyond you, and having that foundation is important. But were there times where you were uncertain or having doubts during those moments? What was some of the emotions you were feeling? What were some of the thought patterns you were having? And what were some of the scriptures that kind of held you during those moments of uncertainty or doubt?
Of course. I think about it from the standpoint that, you know, how I look at it oftentimes is when you look at the life of Jesus,
Yeah.
a perfect man, God himself, who came in for our sake to reconcile us back in relationship with God. He didn't have a pain-free life.
Hmm.
He didn't have a life that he didn't have questions himself, or even before he was crucified, he didn't have a request for the cup to be taken away from him. Probably one of the most humane moments, if not the most humane moments I can tell that would align myself with Jesus, is that he knows what his purpose is here for. His time has come for that, but he also knows what awaits him. And it's going to be really painful. There's a reason why so many Christians don't watch The Passion of the Christ, because of how explicit the suffering Jesus did. And that movie was at least trying to attempt to illustrate what that was, which means it could have been actually even worse.
Yeah.
So I think what helps is, one of my role models told me, actually a spiritual mother for me, was to keep your eyes on Jesus. And I know it sounds kind of abstract, but you kind of think about it from the sense of, when you learn more about his life and his ministry, and you continue to dwell on it, continue to build a relationship upon that, you start to resonate that a lot of what you experience, either Jesus has been through himself during his time here, or he's been through a lot worse. So at the very least, you have somebody that you can resonate with and believe that he's still around to help us through here.
Wow. I'm gonna steal some of your thunder, Gabriella.
Yes, go right ahead.
President S. Woods says, "Good night, everyone. The enemy wants to destroy the family, so he would attack the head of the home. So, to all men at 40 plus and younger, should seek God's guidance, and even a brother who can give you that support. Don't be afraid to ask for help, because seeking help is not weakness." Wow, that's wisdom personified.
Yes.
Your comments, Philip?
Say it again.
I said your comments on that comment.
Well, if you think about it, right, the last time I was here, if you remember, what was the subject I was talking about?
You're dealing with fathers and mentors.
Fatherhood, right?
Yes.
So why is the father so important to the family? Because that's oftentimes like the building block, the protector, the provider, the pastor of the family.
Mm-hmm.
So if I was the enemy, knowing that Christianity is based on, if nothing else, if you have to really boil it down to, in some part, caring for widows and orphans, which is oftentimes women and children.
Yeah.
Well, how did they become widows and orphans?
Yeah.
Oh, the father's not there. The
Yes.
father passed away.
Hmm.
That means the mother, the wife, became a widow. That means the children are fatherless. So they're now on their own trying to figure out how to make it work, how to make things meet up. So we can even look in our good book here to recognize that was a past and is an ongoing attack that the enemy embarks on.
Yeah.
How do I take the fathers out of the home, out of the family, out of influence, and have mothers and children fend for themselves? Because that is easy pickings for him.
Yeah.
So, which is why this mission takes it even beyond just business wise for me, but very much more ministry and mission oriented. That even if I were to help a lot of our men in midlife be able to have a better understanding of who their identity is, to have a greater meaning as far as what their life is about, to understand they have a significant purpose about them that's worth living, first of all, and worth living well, not just for yourself, but for the people that are looking up to you, the people that are being supported by you, the people that are dependent on you, your family, your spouse, your wife. This is where I start to realize what I'm embarking on is aligning with God in spiritual warfare,
Yeah.
because I'm against what the enemy will want to prosper here,
Wow. Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
right?
Yeah. That's right. That's right. Wonderful stuff. So I'm just gonna get us through the thought of the week, and Philip, when I come back, we want to get straight into the book. I have it up there on the screen. I managed to get it up there. Life after 40. But for now, we just want to do the thought of the week, and we're gonna come right back. So, the thought of the week, folks, it says sometimes God will remove our best so that He can give us His best. It is always better than our best. Let me repeat that. Sometimes God will remove our best so that He can give us His best. It is always better than our best. That's truly, truly, truly wonderful and amazing. I see we have some other thoughts coming up, but before we get into that, I want to make sure that I have Philip on the scene. Yes, I have him back here. So I'm just going to do a little bit of a transition and bring us back. Here we go. So, what are your comments on the thought of the week? That is.
I mean, I think it makes a lot of sense when you're thinking about one, trusting God, our Heavenly Father, that He knows better than what we could know on our own.
Mhm,
He is perfect. He is holy. He is omniscient. He is omnipotent. He
mhm.
is omnipresent. None of these things that we are as His children, as His fallible, sinful beings that He created in the first place.
Yeah.
So the thought would be, as tough as it may be sometimes, because we want to be certain about everything, being able to understand when things are taken away, that there might be a purpose behind it. There might be a reason behind it that may not necessarily be to punish you. Because oftentimes, when they say about pruning, when you're thinking about plants and gardens, oftentimes you have to cut back on the branch
Yeah.
to
Yeah.
allow it to grow further.
Yeah.
Sometimes you have to take out the weeds that are growing alongside the grass so you can continue to grow.
Yeah.
And so sometimes you might have some dead branches, some weeds, some things that you may think is okay, but God sees better. And it can hurt when you see those things go away in the present, but give it time, because the God that has it where one day is like 1,000 years to Him and 1,000 years is like a day to Him,
Mm.
He's timeless.
Yeah. Yeah.
We just have to be patient with His timing.
That's right.
And I have been very much impressed. If I just give it enough time and just hang on, things tend to pan out much better than I had expected originally.
Yeah. Yeah. Wonderful. So Gracie says the only perfect man was Jesus Christ. And then she says, she's sticking with the onlys. She says, the only enemy is the devil. Wow. We can debate on that a little bit, but
Yeah, we can.
I don't want to get into Gracie's thought right
Yeah.
now. Don't let's not steal her thunder. I want to get into life after 40. Philip, I'm looking at the first thing. It says nutrition that fuels us, not frustrates us. Give us some color on that,
So, when you think about that, one of the things we have to think about is our bodies change over time.
please.
Hard to believe, right? We just want to
Mm.
be young forever.
Yeah.
Yeah.
We just want to think that we can eat pizza every day of the week and then not
Uh,
have any drawbacks to us. We can have all the Coca-Cola and all these other drinks and that sort of thing. It's not going to impact us. So the thought that comes to mind here is that because our bodies change, they're not going to be the same 20s as we are in our 30s, as we are in our 40s and beyond. We have to be proactive to thinking about, okay, there's enough knowledge out there to share with us what our bodies are likely going to be undergoing.
Mm-hmm.
The
True.
question is, do we know what our bodies are likely to do?
Yeah.
And what are we going to do about it?
Right.
So I
Right.
think part of it is really combating a sense of lack of knowledge that we have because we're just living in the moment,
Mm-hmm.
right? And the challenge is with technology the way it is, you can basically grasp that information in like half of a second.
Yeah.
There's no reason why we can't learn more about how our bodies are naturally progressing and what others have done and what science would support to be able to have the right type of nutrition that we're eating and we're taking in each day to help us be better human beings, to help us live longer.
Mm-hmm.
Like I think about it in the sense that I wish my grandparents had the information that is privy to us on our fingertips today.
Wow. Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
Because maybe my grandparents might not have passed away in their 70s.
Mm.
Maybe they could have lived on to their 80s
Yeah.
or their 90s. Maybe they could have seen their great grandchildren
Yeah.
like I saw my great grandmother,
Right.
right?
Yes.
But even just on that too, the thought is from a generation standpoint, the information is out there for us to live a longer life and to live a better life for longer.
Right.
When it comes to our nutrition, the question is, do we know what that information is, where we can source it? And then once you know it, are we actually going to act on it?
Yeah.
Because Maya Angelou once said, if I know better, I do better.
Right. Yes.
Well, the emphasis there is once can we help you know better?
Uh-huh.
And the key is after I help you know better, are you now going to do better?
Right. Right. I love it. I love it. I love it. We have a huge comment here from Wesley Ryan. He says, whoa, a man of gratitude to God, though Jesus Christ, through Jesus Christ. That's how I try to live. I can relate to your story. I was there for my mother and siblings and other relatives. I was the strong man when my situation came around. I still had the mask of strength but was hurting, and my mother grew me up in the Catholic Church. I resisted the Church of Christ at 18, and the same person then got me to Christ decades after, where I am now. To God be the glory. So that physical, mental, emotional strength is wrapped up with the spiritual. It's a great place to be. You're not alone, if I can say, Brother Philip. Wow. So, Philip, you're reaching some people in a real positive and inspirational way. So, look how much we draw out of Wesley being vulnerable and telling part of his own story. That's truly amazing, man. Thank you so much for being here with
Thanks for
us.
sharing that, Wesley.
Yeah. Thank you.
Absolutely.
Thank you. Thank you. So, the second one, Philip, is exercise that builds strength, not exhaustion. And I know a lot of people would be interested in this one. Tell us a bit about that.
Yeah. So I think the big thing I'm thinking about here is once again,
Uh huh.
exercise should be seen differently than when we were in our 20s.
Right.
So I'll pick on myself. Okay. When I went to the gym and I worked out, it wasn't because I was trying to live long. It wasn't because I wanted to make sure that when I have kids, I can run after them and not get tired.
Yeah.
I did it because I wanted to look good in the mirror
Mm-hmm.
to attract women.
Wow. Okay.
That was it.
Right.
Like I love playing basketball, I love playing sports, but the other part of it was, listen, when it's hot outside, it's summertime, you're swimming, you're at the party and stuff like that. I didn't want to be afraid to take off my shirt,
Oh.
Right. Getting real,
right?
getting real.
I listen, if you want me to be honest here, I'll be honest with you.
Be
Yes, we
honest, bro. Be
appreciate
honest.
it. We
Be
appreciate
honest.
it.
But I think to that point, all joking aside, that was where I was when I was in my 20s, right? When I
Right.
became a man, I put away childish things.
There you go.
So
There
the
you
childish thing was when I became a man, it was like, listen, what we're trying to focus on here is longevity,
Right.
endurance.
Yeah.
Like I want to be able to walk my daughter down the aisle when it comes to her getting married
Mm-hmm.
and not need a walker,
Yes.
not needing a wheelchair, not needing someone else to do it for me.
Right.
I want to be able to go to my father daughter dances with my girls
Mm-hmm.
and not just sit on the bleachers and say, hey, just have a good time. I'm just going to sit here with my fruit punch and I'm just going to take it all in.
Yes.
Yeah.
So when I think about exercise, once again, there's a shift.
Mm-hmm.
So what maybe more focus on like vanity, how you look, more aesthetic and that sort. Now we're focusing more on functional strength.
Okay.
Like, can we actually go up the stairs and down the stairs without joint pain?
Mm.
Right?
Yeah. Yeah.
Can
Yeah.
we actually be able to keep a sense of mobility about us that can help us live longer? So, what I'm thinking about is not trying to lift the heaviest weight anymore.
Mm-hmm.
It's like more about, can I go outside and walk for 20, 30 minutes after I ate dinner
Yeah.
just to help my digestion so I don't have that bloated feel when it's time for me to go to bed?
Right. Right.
And just keeping on that habit of knowing that if I exercise regularly, not trying to lift huge weights and that sort, but walking, maybe it's cycling or swimming.
Mm-hmm.
You can do some resistance or strength training. It's absolutely recommended as we get older because we do tend to lose lean muscle mass after the age of 40.
Right. Right.
And if you lose lean muscle mass, what do you think that gets replaced by?
Yeah.
It gets replaced by fat.
Mm-hmm.
And people don't often talk about this because now you got all these miracle drugs out there and these pills and stuff like that. You just, oh, I just take this and I can eat whatever I want and I don't gain an ounce and that sort.
Mm-hmm.
They don't recognize there's a laundry list of negative side effects that come with those too.
Yeah. Yeah.
So the thought is, if we want to keep things natural, if we want to go about things the long way, to live a longer life, to live a higher quality life, a life of independence, of meaning, of mobility, of strength, we have to relook at how we go about exercise now that we're no longer in our 20s.
Yeah. Wow. So I guess it really takes uh, a sort of responsible and a realistic mindset shift and a change. And now don't just do it because there may be some pleasure coming your way or you may be able to impress other people. But now it's about seeing the bigger picture, seeing the future, seeing something that is based on your level of responsibility and what you want to be for your family. I get it. Am I right there, Philip?
You're right. Like a
Yeah.
motivation for me is
Yeah.
I want to live to see my 50th wedding anniversary.
Okay, great. Okay.
So to keep that in mind, so I'm 40 now.
Mm-hmm.
I got married in my 30s,
Right.
early 30s.
Yeah.
50 years from your early 30s, where does that put me?
In
Okay.
the 80s.
Early 80s. What did I just share with you about my grandparents? They didn't live to see
Yeah.
Past
80,
70. Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
So I'm thinking about this from the standpoint of that becomes the big goal for me.
Right.
I want to get to that point. I want both me and my wife
Yeah.
to make it to 50th wedding anniversary. I don't want to have an empty chair next to me.
Yep.
I want my wife to be there.
Yeah.
So now I'm caring about what my wife is doing, about her health.
Mm-hmm.
So we make it to there together.
Yeah.
But not only that, I'm now looking at beyond just myself and my wife.
Uh-huh.
I'm looking at all the different memories I could have over 50 years with my kids.
Right.
50 years with my kids, what does that mean?
Hmm.
Experiencing the birth of my kids,
Yeah.
changing diapers,
Yeah.
the first days at school, high school graduation, college graduation, walking them down the aisle when they get married,
Mhm.
grandkids,
Yeah.
and then all what goes with that, all the different summer vacations, the birthdays, the spring breaks, the nights after school, like 50 years of that. 50 summers, 50 springs, 50 falls, 50
Wow.
winters.
I
Well,
get it. Get it.
how do I want to be
Yeah.
when I'm experiencing that? Do I want to be full of vitality? Do I want to be full of life?
Yeah.
Or do I want to be out in the corner on an oxygen tank in a wheelchair?
Mm.
Yeah.
The
Wow.
choice is yours on how you want to be. Now, I can't guarantee it, but
Hmm.
I'm at least going to try.
Yeah.
I'm at
Yeah.
least going to give my best foot forward to learn what information is out there
Yeah.
so I can give myself the best chance of living to my 50th anniversary and being able to still walk around
Yeah.
and dance with my wife at that point.
Wow.
Mm.
Yes. 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 Wonderful. Wonderful. So the third one is mindset that keeps us going when motivation fades. This one to me is the biggest because in order for us to keep going, sometimes we may not even have 1 ounce of motivation. We may not even have someone around to inspire us. So, how do we keep going despite the low or the ebb in motivation or probably no inspiration at all? Where do we get that mindset from, that thinking from? Is it about something futuristic or is it about something that we have to deal with in the present moment?
I think it's both, right?
Okay.
I think you can't live 50 years
Uh huh.
without going through 50 years, right? You got
Yeah,
to
yeah,
go through year one, year two, year three, but you can't get the year one and two and three without living day one,
yeah.
day two, day three. So it gets back to what I mentioned before. If you live long enough, I can almost guarantee you everyone's going to have their good days.
Hmm.
Everyone's going to have their so so days. Everyone's going to have their bad days,
Hmm.
right? And the biggest thing about that is what's going to be constant about us up here that's going to compel us to keep living forward.
Right.
Mm.
Yeah.
Because, granted, we're still living. That's still a blessing. There's some other places we could be outside of living,
Right.
right? And
Right.
so the thought becomes it really does stem with what goes on in your mindset because as a man thinketh, so is he.
Yeah.
So it already comes back to the good book and talking about mindset, talking about how important what you think, how does that reflect? Your beliefs now become your behavior.
Hmm.
Your behavior based on your beliefs determine what blessings come out, I always say.
Yeah.
But what also comes with that too is back to the book of Genesis. What did God want men to do or humans in general when he created them?
Hmm.
He wanted to be fruitful, multiply,
Yeah.
and have dominion.
Yeah.
Be, do, have.
Hmm.
It's not the other way around. It's not have, do, be. You
Hmm.
started with be
Yeah.
fruitful.
Yeah.
So we had to be in our head what we were going to be.
Right.
So once again, it all comes back to how we perceive ourselves, our lives, what our purpose is, and out of that, if we have a appreciation about ourselves, if we love ourselves, if we believe that midlife is worth living, then we'll put that in play in terms of how we treat ourselves. That we are worth eating healthier food. We are worth doing better exercises regularly. We are worth making sure we get enough sleep at night because we're not as young as we were before, thinking we could do all nighters every day
Yeah.
and think that that's not going to bite us in the rear in a few days.
Yeah.
Mm.
Yeah.
So we
Yeah.
have to think about it like everything comes into mindset because then that educates us on what we do and then what results do we reap from that as well and then further repeats the cycle from there.
Right. I get it. And I love it. It's really wonderful, and people really had to take time out and focus on that and consider how important that mindset is. So finally, the last one, Philip, recovery that restores us physically, mentally, and emotionally, and that's taking a very holistic approach to the situation. How do we endanger practices that recovery becomes important to us? Because okay, so you were 20 back then, you in your 20s, you would recover maybe in a couple of hours or so, but 30 years down the road, it's a different ball game. How do you approach those three areas, mentally, emotionally, physically, to ensure that you give yourself enough time to actually recover so that you increase the opportunity to have that longer life that you so fondly speaks about?
So once again, we get back to the word. What commandment do you think probably resonates the most with recovery for us?
Hmm, that's a really good question. I would say the one that Jesus responded to when the Pharisaic lawyer asked him the question in Matthew chapter 22, what is the greatest commandment of all? Jesus actually gave him two. The first one, love the Lord thy God with all thy heart, all thy soul, and all thy might. And the second one is to love thy neighbor as thyself.
Yep. I also would include
Uh huh.
keep the Sabbath,
Okay.
keep it holy.
Uh huh.
Why in Genesis, after 6 days of creation,
Mm-hmm.
did God rest on the seventh day?
Okay.
Do you think he really needed to rest on the seventh day, knowing that he's omnipotent?
Mm.
Mm. Nah.
Or
Mm-hmm.
or was that an example for him to set for his creation to model?
Okay.
Jesus didn't necessarily have to get baptized by John the Baptist.
Mm-hmm.
John actually resisted. I'm not worthy enough to tie your shoes.
Yeah.
But Jesus still did because of what? He set the example
He had to set the example.
for
Correct.
people to follow.
Yeah.
So the example to follow is rest was important enough for God to model for his children. So
Okay.
why would we go away from that and adopt a culture that says, "Hey, I'll sleep when I die"?
Oh no. 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 No.
Oh no.
Oh, no, no, no. Come on, no, no. That doesn't make sense.
It
Oh
doesn't,
God.
which
Oh my.
which makes me think that that advice is not godly.
Yeah, yeah,
Mm.
And if it's not godly, where do you think it came from?
yeah. Yeah, yeah.
Wouldn't it make sense for the enemy to want you to work your tail to the bone
That's right.
so you're all tired, basically dependent on certain substances or liquids to keep you up at night, constantly working because I gotta get this, I gotta meet this comparison here.
Mm,
Just gotta make it this way because it's all dependent on me.
mm-hmm.
I can't depend on anybody else, let alone God.
Yeah, yeah.
So I just gotta keep on working, keep on working. I'll sleep later. Nope, I'm
Wow,
sorry, honey, I can't go to the soccer game. I gotta work.
wow.
Nope, nope, nope. I can't eat dinner with you. I gotta work.
Hmm.
Yep, my relationship is breaking down here. Might get divorced because of it, but hey, I gotta get that promotion.
Wow.
Mm.
Yeah,
And
yeah.
then once you get the promotion, you start saying to yourself, "Is that it? All
Yeah,
the sacrifice I
yeah,
did,
yeah.
and that's it?"
Mm.
You looking as silly as Adam and Eve did when they realized after they ate the apple, and they realized they didn't have any clothes on.
Well, I don't know if
Oh,
it, I don't know if it was an apple. I get it. I get it. But Philip, I just wanna show people, this. Listen, this is so important. folks, just look at this picture and tell me why Philip is so instrumental. Look at this picture. Just think about it. This is his beautiful wife, and look at those babies. So he knows what he's talking about. He's got to be there for them, folks. And just by the looks of it, you can see that all the efforts that he's made and the transitioning is going to be worth it.
I
Worth
don't
it.
think it. I don't think the picture came up though. It.
It didn't come up.
You saw it, Philip?
Oh no,
You want to?
I didn't see it, but I was
All we
living
see it
by
is the
faith.
life at 40. So you'll
Oh,
have to bring it back up. It
oh
stayed in the
my
studio.
goodness! So just a moment.
I was
Just
living
see
by faith, thinking it was going to show up on another place.
share
So
media.
yeah, see if you could bring it back
Uh,
up.
yeah, I'm trying to bring it back up.
So while
Okay.
you do that, I will ask Philip a question because I kind of want to talk about the mindset part.
All right. Before you do that, let's just show another comment from Wesley. He
From
says,
my seat, yeah,
"Wow, you are writing my script. Your script is my
my
script,
script
including
included
a good
that.
diet." There you go, Philip.
Absolutely.
Yes. Okay, go ahead, Gabriella.
Right. So I kind of thinking about, during those times when you're turning into the 40s, into the 50s, sometimes people struggle, and you see it mostly with men too, and women, but mostly with men. But you see at that stage is like they think that they need to go back to, yes, they will keep the nutrition and they would want to be fit and they would want to keep their bodies in a particular way. But it's like they're going through this crisis now where they don't want to seem as they are old. So their mindset is to dress younger, to act younger, to behave a particular way, not at the age that they should be acting at the age of 40. So
Sorry to
what would you say?
Gabriella, but I just had to show
No problem.
the picture there. I know
It's
you're
a
seeing it
beautiful.
now.
Yes, we're seeing it now.
That's
That's it.
amazing. Wow. So you see what I'm saying, right?
Yes, yes.
This is why he is so on point and so focused because he has a lot to live for.
Twins. So cute.
Yeah, beautiful. It's so cute. Amazing. Thanks for sharing, Philip.
Absolutely.
All
Wow.
right.
Yeah,
Okay.
what would you say to the persons who may be struggling at that age and are kind of more in going back into if they were 20 at 40, trying to relive what maybe they didn't experience during, at their younger age.
Yeah, yeah.
Well, I think part of it is the fear of the unknown for us at this
Mm,
age.
Hmm.
We kind of get a sense of it as far as like you see older people say, oh, they're old,
Yeah.
until we realize, okay, now we're the old ones. Now I'm getting the gray hair.
Mm,
Oh, I can't go back. I mean, I'll try. I'll color my hair.
yeah.
I'll turn all this black. Um, or I'll go back to the gym and see if I can get back to that
Six pack.
physique I was before.
Yes.
mm,
Or I'll see if I can get that sports car. Vroom vroom,
mm.
a motorcycle. You
Yeah.
know. So I think that what I feel like is a quiet struggle we often face is when aging starts to show itself to us.
Mm,
And what I mean by that is when you start seeing the wrinkles, the first time you saw that gray hair, first time you noticed the skin tag, the first time you realize I can't eat the way I used to, I can't move the way I used to.
mm,
That is a key stage that for me, I struggled because at that point, reality hits you square in the eyes and said,
Mm.
hey, you only got so much time, buddy,
mm.
and you can't go back.
Yeah, yeah,
You only get older from here,
yeah.
and you can't stop time from continuing to run.
Yeah.
And I
So,
think we don't put enough emphasis to
uh,
help people through that,
mhm.
which is probably why we have midlife crisis as a thing.
Wow.
Because if it was something for me to take a step back and share with you what my true mission is here, it's to help in the midlife crisis.
Yeah.
That stage between 35 and 50 years old where something happens where, like it happened for me, Thanksgiving on my 40th birthday, it hits at people different times.
Yeah.
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 And sometimes it could be far in an extreme where it's just truly like a significant thing, or sometimes for other people, it's just a quiet desperation.
Yeah.
Nobody knows.
Hmm.
You keep the mask on, you keep the smile going on, but there's something that's starting to egg on at you day by day,
Mhm.
start to wrestle with you a little bit. You don't feel comfortable telling anybody about it. You don't feel comfortable sharing about it. You're just going to deal with it by yourself. And the problem is, and I remember my mom told me this when I was growing up, she said, Philip, I'm really concerned about how you'll deal with failure.
Hmm. Yeah.
And not just failure, like, oh, I like flunked a test. I mean, when you realize something you were hoping to happen for you didn't happen and didn't happen in a big way.
Yeah. Yeah.
And you have to deal with that
Yeah.
because everyone can react to something like that from a broad spectrum here,
Hmm.
right? On one extreme, it doesn't bother them at all. On the other extreme, sadly enough, they decide, you know what, this is so painful that I don't think it's worth me living anymore. And so when I think about it, when you showed that picture of my family, what I realized when I look at that picture is, to my point earlier, I got to keep living not just for myself.
Mhm.
I got to live for my wife.
Yeah.
I got to live with my kids. I don't
Yeah.
want my wife to be a widow. I don't want my kids to be orphans.
Mhm.
I want my wife to keep living. I want my kids to keep living. So
Yeah.
if I take that and I extrapolate it from here, it's like, listen, to all the fathers out there, you got to keep living.
Right.
You got people depending on you. You don't want your wife, the mother of your kids, to have to go about life on their own, trying to figure it out when they're looking for you to be that man to support them, to walk through life with them, to do life with them, to disciple your family, to become closer to God that way. They're dependent on you to do that. That's part of your mission.
Yeah.
You're supposed to be fruitful. How can you be fruitful if the fruit inside of you is dead?
Yeah. Wow.
Hmm.
Oh boy, Wesley, I'm not gonna support you on that. He says no. Oh, Wesley, we are getting there, but don't
Get in
say
there.
we are old,
Don't
man.
speak
Come
it
on.
into the atmosphere, Wesley.
Yeah, don't do that. Oh man, I'm
Oh,
gonna
wow.
just run the thought of the week one more time with everybody on. It says sometimes God will remove our best so that He can give us
Hmm.
His best. It is always better than our best. So we just have just about 1 minute again, Gabriella, so we can wrap up. But I know you probably want to ask him one question again before we wrap up. Yeah?
Yeah. All right. So, with all being said, I just want to say thank you so much. I really admire your humility. That's what stood out for me. Listening to how you approach everything, everything is just so cool and calm and copacetic, And, whilst you were saying things that people, I think they understood and they know, and it may sound like, simple information, it was really deep. And I really hope that persons really take with them, the information that was provided. But one question I would like you to do, which you kind of piggyback on, is what you would like to tell your listeners right now, those who may be at this junction of their life where they want to have that turning point moment. They want to be more than just the vanity and the fads and everything, and they want to actually build a life of legacy and of purpose. What will be your encouragement to them listening right now?
So what I do each day is I build this resource to help out people all around the world to help
Yeah.
us end the midlife crisis. And that's our website, lifeafter40.com.
All right. Okay.
Okay. That is a place that, if nothing else,
Yeah.
As I mentioned before, if you know better,
You do better.
you do better.
Yeah.
You can't know better if you don't have better information to go off of.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So part of my mission is to take the information from the people that have it and give it to the people that need it.
Right. Right.
And so what I would share is that let this be a starting off point for you. Make that commitment to want to learn how to be better, how to live longer, how to live better, to understand that there's enough here to count your blessings and that midlife is worth living, not just for yourself, but for other people. And if you love yourself enough that you're able to love people as you love yourself,
Mm.
you'll not only want to get better yourself, but you also want to share it with other people so they get better as well. And so part of the thing that came out of my own sense of loving myself and wanting to be better, not just for myself, but for my family and for other people, is by creating this website, lifeafter40.com, to help provide that information, whether it's regarding nutrition, exercise, mindset, or recovery, to give you what you need to live a better life, and more importantly, to thrive in the second half of life.
Mm.
Wow.
Thank you.
So,
Thank you for sharing that.
yeah, now, you wouldn't believe it, but here's Wesley's.
I saw. I was laughing.
He says, this guy is so real. I see so many dying there. Hey, call it the foxtail effect. Wesley Wright, you're not easy.
Super fun.
Phillips, this guy is you really gotten into him, and he says, bring him back. That's what he says. So we will part 3 because this is his second coming.
Yes.
Yeah, Philip, it's been an amazing time here, bro. Just sharing this wonderful information with you and with our audience. You have connected with a whole lot of people out there, and I hope that they would continue to follow up the information for your website. Just tell them what it is again, that they can make that pass maybe tomorrow or sometime after they remember what good nuggets you shared with us on the program. Tell them your website again, please, Philip.
Absolutely. It's life after 40, the number 40.com.
Okay, great. Wonderful. 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 So there you have it, folks. We have come to the end of this amazing, amazing program and broadcast. And we hope that you would continue to exercise and take into consideration the information that was shared with us today with our guest, Philip Blackett. He's looking at the 4 pillars of life after 40. And together with my co host, Gabriella, we have managed to draw so much wonderful nuggets out of this individual. And of course, there is a desire for him to come back again at
Yes.
some other time. So, until next time, this is Andy and Gabriella. Say something.
Yes, thank you all for listening, and yes, we would really appreciate if he comes back again. It was really insightful, really deep. So then my encouragement to you all is to really tap in.
My Lord, no, ain't got no way I'm gonna make it without my Lord, no.
Yeah, tap in.
Ain't got no way I'm gonna
Be
make
to life after 40 and know that it's worth living. Don't give up, continue to press in, continue to seek God. Until next time.
Daily hear me say, ain't got no way. Ain't got no way, ain't got no way, ain't got no way. The harvest is plenty, Lord, but the workers are so few. Ain't got no way I'm gonna make it without